So cardio bike received. That was my, and honestly, I left the remnants in the gym. I did not clean up after myself. I've just got a bunch of cardboard and junk in there. Yeah, it freaking sucks. But, you know, not, you get what I'm saying. So I'm going to clean that up maybe after tonight's lift. Maybe I'll save it for tomorrow morning. But now I get the bike up there. So I'm thinking 30 minutes of cardio post-workout will now be an absolute breeze. Because, I mean, shit, when you get the cardio bike right there, it's pretty easy. And after every lift, except for legs, I think 30 minutes post-workout is basically fine. You know, like when it comes to cardio, I've got, make sure the audio is going, but I've got I've got a couple stances. So the basic gist, the question is like, okay, when should I do my cardio? What's the right time? I definitely think it's like prime. I mean, it's like a different grade of meat, right? Prime AAA cut is going to be cardio in the morning, pretty soon after wake up, you know, get some caffeine, heart pumping, right? Kind of start off pretty much perfect. Plus, you can then work out after eating a couple solid meals, and then your workout isn't hindered by your cardio at all by keeping them completely separate, you know? Like I would never want to try to test my high jump if I just ran 5 miles. Not that I do high jump or run 5 miles, but just, you know, follow the logic. So morning is probably best with a workout later in the day, maybe at least like 4 hours later. But that would mean you do, you know, 2 gym trips, or you have like a cardio bike at home, which not everybody does. But I mean, really, I think, how many American homes do you think have cardio equipment in them that, just in general? And then a second statistic, how many of them have cardio equipment that gets used once when they open the box and then left forever, right? Like Peloton. Like I'm sure Peloton, except for the few people who really use it, is it's a killer business, because I bet they sell, they probably sell like yearly, basically maintenance warranties, but they never have to fix the Pelotons that they sell people because nobody uses them. You know, that's pretty smart on their end. But second best situation is going to be 30 minutes after your workout. I'm not saying 30 minutes of sprints. I'm saying sit on the bike at difficulty 10 and then, you know, pedal at moderate pace. Or a similar amount would be like 3.5 mile incline on the treadmill. 3.5 mile per hour, 5 or 6% treadmill for half an hour, or something like that. I don't know about the zones. Like I'm not one to count zone 1, zone 2, zone whatever. But it's more of, you know, what's the machine reading, and then how am I feeling? But 30 minutes on the bike, dude, it's nothing. Like it's not hard enough that I can't sit there and talk to somebody at the same time while I'm doing it. It's definitely a little trickier because I am kind of, you know, huffing and puffing a little more than normal, but it's still conversational difficulty, like nothing crazy. And if you sit and you play on your phone, or you watch, you know, this isn't like a plug, but if you like Better Call Saul, I don't know the actor's name, but the I don't even know the character's name. I don't remember. But she's in this Apple TV show called Pluribus. It's kind of like an apocalyptic kind of sci-fi, not really thriller, but a new episode of that came out today, and it's like 45 minutes. I'll probably do extra cardio post-workout just so I can sit and watch the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? So it goes by like nothing. And then you could go back twice and do your cardio at night, and then work out in the morning. I think that's probably the worst situation. I don't want to do cardio right before bed. Like I want to kind of chill out. But all that's to say is, you know, next time you finish a chest day or whatever, just try it. Just sit on the bike for a minute. You know, you don't even have to do a full 30. Just try it for a few minutes, because that's better than most people. You know, and we're going into New Year's resolution or time. You're setting yourself ahead of the game if you clock a couple hours in cardio. I know I have. I think this year total, let's not include the 2 hours a day that I was doing earlier in the year. but just the math of half an hour a day, 30 minutes a day, which I've definitely done more, but let's just say 30 minutes. 365 days, 182 and a half hours, 182, what is that divided by 24? 6, 7. Is it 7 days? 7. Yeah, it's almost like a week straight. So just take 1 week out of your year and then spend it on the bike. It passes like nothing. Guys do like 10 times that amount of hour clocking in Rainbow Six Siege and League of Legends pretty constantly. Now, I'm not going to judge. You do your own thing. But no, plan for tonight is just hamstrings. I'm chilling on my quad frequency. So I'm doing hams as a quad day, and then hams as a lift, and then quads as a lift. I think I can up my quad intensity a little bit by adding in some moderately heavy leg press. I got to be careful not to go too heavy, or else I start to like feel in my knees and like my adductors. I'm not eating a ton of food, so I'm not really prepped to kill it like crazy on heavy pressing. Like squats are off the table for at least a little while, but I think I can do it a little bit harder than I have been. Not too much, but just a little bit. So that was a couple days ago in New York. Now that means it's time for hamstrings. So I'm gonna camp out on probably I don't know. I've got the seated and the laying hamstring curl, which is pretty much it. I mean, you can do standing single leg curls, but at that point, I mean, you can just sit on a leg extension backwards and you've kind of achieved the same effect, so it's either one. And what's really weird is guys will go through an argument of what's better. Like, that's classic fitness content 101. The top 10 hamstring movements of 2020, whatever, but sometimes the logic is it's a little bit of a stretch, the way that they say what's better. Like, they'll say that the seated curl is actually inferior to the laying curl because you get a better stretch in the laying curl. Like some people have definitely said that for sure, nearly verbatim. And my initial reaction is like, well, I feel my hamstring stretch when I bend over to touch my toes. I'm more bent over in a seated curl. Wouldn't the seated curl have a better stretch? And why are we even saying which one's better in the first place? Do an even mix, right? Because that's honestly probably my I don't want to say tenant, but it's definitely a aspect that I look at my training with, where I'm not really thinking like, okay, I really like this, and this. It's, more so I kind of want to cover all bases, right? So with hamstrings, I think laying curls, seated curls, honestly, I do lean a little bit more curl side than hip hinging, especially when I'm dieting down, because I want to just get straight to the meat and potatoes of curl, or my hamstrings themselves, not include my lower back or my glutes or anything else. But, do a few laying curls, do a few seated curls, get your hamstrings totally pumped. You're good, So, whether that's an oversimplified take or whatever, I think hamstrings get neglected far too much. And that's just anecdotal, like just kind of from what I've seen. But even gyms, I mean, no gym is complete without like a pec deck. But I think there are a lot of gyms that slack on the leg equipment, which really sucks, because if it's cool, it's really cool. Like there's it's Gym Therapy. Pretty sure it's Gym Therapy in Louisville. Ooh, I'm not sure that's the exact right city, but it's Gym Therapy something or other. Pretty sure it's Louisville. And for one, the owner is super cool over there. Like if you're ever in the Canton area, you've got to check out that gym. Just like freaking dance. That's where I did the 6 plates for 8 a couple months ago, and I think the gym's just aura added to the hype for that set for sure. But there's this old leg extension leg curl where it's like, when you're sitting down for leg extensions, you don't even lean back, because it's just a laying curl with an extra pad to do extensions. But the thing was just, I mean, I don't know what year it was from. It's definitely probably nearly double my age, maybe 1.5 times my age, 30 something years old. And the thing was freaking sweet, you know? I mean, that's bringing me back to when I was at school. The gym was pretty good. My rec center gym was pretty good. For one, everybody in there was really cool, but also the equipment was just pretty solid. You know, everything, they had a lot of stuff, old Smith machines, this really old pec deck, which was freaking awesome. And guess what? They replaced it all with like new Nautilus something or other, you know. And that's not a dig at that specific brand, but a lot of bigger kind of, I don't want to say corporate, but just, I mean, yeah, kind of corporate gym equipment manufacturers, like the guys who are filling up every Planet Fitness and every Anytime and every like LA Fitness and Crunch. Their thing isn't like, you know, specific performance-based quality. It's, you know, it's just a numbers game. How much stuff can we make and how good does it look to the person who doesn't work out? Because I can guarantee that the primary factor of their decision to buy all that equipment for the gym was not like, okay, let's get a guy who really knows, is not even a bodybuilder, but just someone who's really into the gym and knows like what's it kind of curate. It's like, okay, how much is this set going to cost? What can you guys give us a deal? And then half the shit ended up breaking half the time, you know. So it actually, yeah, I don't remember. It might not have been. I don't think it was Nautilus because it was different stuff. But either way, I'm not trying to do like a specific dig. But it's, you know, I think there's an overcomplication, infatuation that we have, where it's like the fancier, the better. When in reality, it's like, at least, you know, a lot of cases, like the simpler the better, you know. The like the genius is in the simplicity of some things, and especially with gym equipment. I mean, the more cables and pulleys and this, like, just the more points of failure, and it's like it's just too much. Like the guy who showed it off in a presentation of his CAD model of the machine probably felt pretty damn cool that he made a thing with like 10 different sort of, but you know, sometimes it's not really better than something basic. But now I'm getting on all sorts of track. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. But yeah, so plan now is go slam some hamstrings, and then post hamstrings, I'm cool with cardio because the seated bike, or not actually, I guess this is a seated bike. It's not a recumbent one. It's one where like you're sitting upright and the pedals are beneath you. It's not really engaging hamstrings much. After quads, I think post-cardio might impact your quad recovery a little bit. The first thing I want to do when I'm done with quads is be done with quads and let them chill and kind of recover. But hamstrings, you know, they're along for the ride of pedaling, but they're not getting worked, you know. So post-hamstring cardio, solid. So basically everything but quads, I think you're good. So if you do a really good quad day, that's the one time I can say you're off the hook. You don't have to do your post-workout cardio. You're cool. It's going to be better for you to go back and chill, you know. But that's the only time. Or like if you're in a rush and you're late for something, that's a little different, right? But I'm saying in general, as like a generalization. But yeah, that's all. So I think nothing else to discuss. Let's just get freaking started. All right. Yeah, doing a little classic red and blue lighting. But let's start with the seated curl. Now, normally, I've got a hard time stopping myself from warming up and doing 50s for a few, then 100, then 150, then 200, then 250. And that increment is about right. And then in between, doing some just body weight calf raises to kind of get everything warmed up. But I think 250 will be a good number. Even though I feel pretty strong, I know if I overdo it, I'm kind of asking for trouble, which isn't like a fun way to think about it. Like, I want to think I can come in here totally invincible, but you do need a little bit of your own kind of reality check. Make sure your weight's within reason, and then execute the set as well as possible. So these will actually be a hold and burn in the beginning, and then I'll just kind of, I don't want to say let the reps degrade, but they will kind of transition into, you know, more partial, quicker reps. But as long as you bring it, I'm cool with this kind of set. Holy shit. One more of those. But that was way less reps than I thought I was going to get. Okay. Oh, let's do a leg curl now. So I can't even do more than half the stack. This goes up to 150, and it is a very heavy stack. That's probably my favorite thing about this curl is, well, you know, it's not just BS where like the stack is the stack, but no. So instead of the 150, I got to cut it to 70. And even then, after those 2 sets of seated curls, that feels like a little much. Whoa. All right, let's do 60 for the next one and run that back. Okay, I think hams are done. Yeah, quick 5-setter. Shit, man. I think it's time for some cardio. So not so much of a pose down just for a hamstring pump. I mean, honestly, to an extent, when your hamstrings are pumped, it almost makes your legs look, well, not smaller, but just less defined. Because all of like the interesting grain that your hamstrings have, it just swells up and almost disappears when you're really, pumped. Same with your back, same with your chest. But, no, I mean, quads are still, my quads are more separated now, unpumped, than they are when I pose down and actually have them like fully swollen. Actually, let me do a little bit of a zoom in. All right, not to just turn it into a leg shot, but I guess that is kind of the point. Yeah, we're getting somewhere. So, unpumped on anything. Yeah, this is kind of what I want to freaking see. So, especially this side, like this very drastic separation of outer quad, mid to teardrop. The leaner that I get, the more pronounced this separation is going to be. And then, well, obviously more cuts are going to appear. it's just fun all around. The only downside, and this is with like I kind of have a problem dieting anyway, because sometimes I don't feel as crazy during the training sessions themselves, because, I got to pull back. I'm not doing like 3-plate RDL drop sets, or with, chest. I'm not doing like 4-plate incline or 6-plate squat. But, I'm okay with that. And it's just part of the deal, like it's a back and forth. When I'm bulked up, obviously not defined, no cuts, just like basically, packing on size. Well, that's kind of the more fun part of going crazy during the training. And then the difficulty just transfers, So as much as I would probably say that my training gets easier on a diet, and I'm not saying I'm training easier, I'm just saying I have to do lighter weight, more squeezing stuff, lower volume. That difficulty doesn't just disappear, it simply moves. So now it's on the dieting side of things, I can't just passively eat whatever the hell I want and then I'm good. I've got to freaking watch myself. I don't think, let me see what I've eaten today. Really only 2 solid meals. One being half a pound of ground beef with sugar-free ketchup and some salt, microwaved, kind of like a little, meatloaf-esque sort of deal. And then the second one, which some people give me flack for, personally I think it's pretty good. 3 packs of like maple syrup cinnamon oatmeal mixed with half a pound of ground beef, then, kind of topped with sugar-free maple syrup. So the ground beef is unsalted, it's unseasoned, it's strained of all the fat. It just doesn't have a ton of flavor. So the sweetness of the oatmeal and the sugar-free maple syrup completely takes over. And I don't even feel like I'm eating ground beef. I just feel like I'm eating kind of this porridge sort of thing, So actually, to anybody who looks at that and says, oh, I would never eat that, how about this? How about you try it yourself? You don't have to do a full 3 packs. Maybe just do one with 3 ounces of ground beef. What do you have to lose? If anything, you can come back and say, Sam, I tried it. Guess what? I was right. What the frick are you doing? That sort of deal. But if you like it, well, then guess what? You got a new meal. But as soon as I slammed that, it was an instant nap. So I ended up training a little later than intended. But I'm going to go right up there. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Sit on that for 30 minutes and then we can get in the car. There we go. All right. Yeah, nearly forgot to get the audio on. But no, we're good. So it's freaking rough outside right now. But it felt pretty good for me in there. I'm getting close. I sat and kind of tinkered with the lights a little bit after that workout in between hams and cardio. And instead of 30 minutes, I only did 20. Because I don't know why, that machine felt like way harder than normal. But I'll figure it out. So 30 minutes in the morning today and then 20 post-workout. That's good. That's about freaking right. Maybe I don't know, maybe hamstrings actually did play into how the cardio felt. I think I need a different seat for that bike. That one is not incredible. That's a good description. It's not incredible, but no, solid hamstring pump. And yeah, shit. Doesn't matter how bad the weather was outside. It felt good in there. So whoop-de-friggin' do. So plan now is go home, put together a bowl of ground beef, something else, and just get ready for bed. Try not to stay up too late sitting around my freaking phone. I'm gonna put I'm gonna put one of my laptops, or not one of it, the laptop in the gym, and then I think it might be time for a little in the gym stream, maybe in like the next week or so. Do a little something or other, see what that's like. Nothing like too goofy or anything, but it's kind of funny. At the bare minimum, it'll at least be a live Q&A, and then at best, maybe it ends up being kind of funny. I don't know. We'll see. I got to get moderators though, because live stream chat is pretty bad. Like guys are saying some pretty crazy stuff. So I think I'll actually I don't think you can do automatic moderation You actually have to have somebody like sitting, like manually blocking kind of stuff like that. Honestly, that's probably the biggest reason why I haven't done it before, because I'm like, it's like a thing, you know. And you're kind of just asking for it because it's like you are right there. But yeah, we'll see. We will see. That'll be cool. But yeah, just gotta get some food and then be good. So not the most awe-inspiring workout for sure, but you know, it's not, every day isn't like that, right? Every day isn't gonna be like, I mean, even just a couple of days ago, last time I did chest, you know, I'm posing down, I'm like, or the arm day when I was in the garage with like the side lighting, I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, this is freaking sweet, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, not every day is gonna be like that, and that's you know, that's cool. It doesn't have to be. Every lift doesn't have to be absolutely insane to the max hype. And if that's your bar, like if you need it to be like that in your mind, you're kind of, you know, setting yourself up for failure, or at least disappointment in a way, because it's, you know, I think about anything. I think this is a good way to look at stuff. The actual enjoyment of accomplishment is like maybe 5% of the time, and then the rest is working towards whatever that accomplishment might be. You know, how many like, let's say you're in so yeah, shit, it's damn near the end of the first semester for a lot of you guys, so that means shit's getting serious. Not as much in high school, but at least in college, end of semester is always a little bit of like a clutch kind of time. So how long is your exam? Let's say you've got a final, or your midterm. I don't know, I guess this would be a final exam for the semester, or maybe it'd be a midterm. I don't know. I don't freaking remember. But how long is the test? An hour and a half? You were in class 3 hours or maybe 4 hours a week for the past like 12 weeks. So 40 hours of at least bare minimum in class time, not to mention whatever you did outside of class to kind of study for it. So let's say maybe it was 2 hours a week extra. So 6 hours, 10 weeks, and that's like a short, I'm just doing the math here. So 10 hours, 6 weeks, 60 hours, yeah. 60 to 1, 60 to 2. I mean that's what's 1 out of 30. That's 5% of the time is the actual performance, and everything else is just prep beforehand, you know. So I guess if you do all the prep beforehand really well, and you're like a total whiz at I had this one class that I actually did pretty good on. It was like shock waves and something or other. I don't remember, but I actually, something about it clicked. You're like calculating the angle of, you know, whatever, and like the pressure differential and all sorts of stuff. And I felt pretty freaking good at that final because I actually had prep beforehand. You know, it took a little while. If you anybody know about is it pitot? I think pitot tubes or something like that. I had no idea what the hell that meant the first few weeks. Like I kind of had a little bit of a delayed start to that one. But all that's to say, you know, getting back to lifting, you know, the hype of a Jay Cutler putting the headband on his head from the ripped up t-shirt, and like a Ronnie Coleman, Tom Platz, you know, not even to mention all the more current kind of guys. That's a part, and that's a good part to have it like ingrained in your internal hype stores. And you know, just don't freak out if it's not always like that, right? Because, you know, obviously I think we all want to come into the gym and kill it, and not only kill it, but like feel good doing it. Like honestly, with everything, it's like you want to have an awesome performance, and you also want it to seem effortless, because it's like you're so like, yeah, that was an awesome chest day. Didn't even have to try. It was just perfect. Everything lined up. The stars were perfectly symmetrical into a new constellation of a side tricep because of how good the workout was. You know, like things like that. So I want to do that as much as possible. I want to give myself that setup by sleeping well, making sure I've got, you know, bottles of water all over the place so I'm actually fully hydrated, which is like more important now that I'm dieting, because when you're eating a crazy amount of food, or at least just a lot of food, even a normal amount of food, but carbs specifically, carbs are very water grabby, right? If you got a ton of glycogen, that means you're holding on to a good amount of water. So honestly, I feel like I don't drink as much when I'm bulking up, just because I'm like at a baseline state, holding more water in my, basically every cell, but like primarily muscle cells and things like that. So now that I'm not full of carbs, like I gotta make sure my freaking hydration game's on point. And not only that, but obviously there's the physical side of prep for a workout, where it's okay, did I sleep well? I did my cardio X hours ago, now I feel good to do a workout now. I didn't hurt myself by doing something stupid, okay, I'm good, let's go. Solid. So the physical side of things could be awesome. Right? Your prep could be freaking perfect. But don't forget, there's also the kind of mental side. And that's what I think it doesn't get a lot of love. Nobody really talks about it as much. Some guys do. Some guys certainly do. Mr. Eric Bugenhagen, always talking hype, always talking tunes, always talking like freaking digging deep and actually bringing it. And I think that's something that a lot of guys aren't hyping up as much now, because we're trying to make training a, not cut and dry, but like a guarantee. I want to train in a way that's guaranteed results, and do a routine, and it's like, okay, if I do 10 reps of this weight, that means it's going to work. I don't think it's so simple as that, man. The point isn't reaching certain numbers, it's reaching a certain level of effort, I feel. So if I came in tomorrow for chest and I couldn't even do 225 on incline bench, and I had to do 135 for whatever reason, maybe I had like I don't know. Well, as long as I brought it, if I still killed, like, did real failure or whatever, the weight is almost inconsequential, because all I'm concerned with is making sure that I take whatever set I'm doing to that level, right? Take it to that place. So, that's where having a good mental preparation is solid. And honestly, I mean, that's probably the biggest, not differentiator, but at least a very big variable that can change, pretty much change somebody's results across the board. Because the things that you do outside of the gym, who you hang around with, what you talk about, what you do, just places you go, whatever, it's really gonna affect your just daily thoughts, So I have this perspective. I don't think like this all the time, but sometimes I like to think you only have a certain amount of time every day. That's a guarantee. That's not like a opinion. You only have so much time every day. Now, okay, I don't have to be in the gym for 8 hours a day. Like, it's only like an hour and a half thing, including the drive, or 2 hours including the drive. So I can separate that chunk. What you do during the rest of it, I'm talking more so like your free time side of things, I mean, that stuff can eat at you, right? And some people love it. Some people love, they love drama, they love gossip, they love getting into, like, just meddling. They love some people are just drawn to problems, and I guess that's how they're wired. Honestly, I think that sucks. I don't want that around me, but it's, that'll kind of eat at you. So if you can tell that maybe you've got some stuff that's always on your mind, like you're always thinking about it or worrying about it or just whatever, that takes away from your overall day's thought capacity, if you feel me, right? You've only got so much time, so byproduct of that, you've only got so much time to think about and dedicate thought and energy in your mind to certain things. How much of that are you wasting, right? How much of that are you just sitting worrying about, XYZ, whether it's maybe like something you did before, something you regret, maybe you don't feel ready for whatever's next, or, a million things. Maybe how someone treats you, how you think about it. It could be anything, right? I'm talking just generalized anxiety from any level, like high anxiety, or like just little random things that are just like eating at you, like, oh, I'm driving with expired plates, or any little thing like that. It's just gonna throw a wrench in your gears. I want everything outside of the gym to be pretty smooth, so that my in the gym performance goes well. And that's something which it's kind of a weird motivation, but a lot of my which I would think are probably good habits, aren't like necessarily because of the benefits of them themselves. It's just how they relate to the gym, So I want a good night's rest. so my lift feels sweet and I make gains. I want to be hydrated so my workouts go well and I make gains. I want to eat food in a specific way, right? I want to save time in my day. I don't want to be worrying about other random things, so that I'm kind of improving that in the gym performance. But it's not lost on me. I think all of those habits, I get to enjoy them all day. I get to enjoy them all the time. Obviously, it improves the workout, but it bleeds off into other things. So that's where I think there's a certain idea of like developing proficiency at something, or like picking I mean, I say this all the time, like I want people to, this is just my opinion, but I like the idea of if everybody has like a thing. It doesn't have to be one thing, it could be a lot of things, but they have something that they want to work on and practice and get better at and learn about and study, and it could be anything. It doesn't have to be working out. I think everyone should work out, but it doesn't have to be working out. And in the process of trying to get better and dedicate time and like, allocate a certain amount of your mind's energy every day towards one specific thing, those habits and like that routine and kind of goal orientation for whatever that one thing is ends up kind of bleeding into everything, right? Like, let's just think about this, kind of a generalization, but who's more, not even just fun, but like who's cooler to be around? Like who's just overall more interesting to listen to on kind of across the board? Typically it's people that are really into something interesting, and they put a lot of energy into it, and they value it, and they really go all in on certain kind of things. And I think that's pretty important to have. So if you know someone who doesn't have that, well then shit, I'm not trying to put anybody down, but usually people like that just kind of, they might feel a little aimless. They do their thing in the daytime, and then in their free time they just blow it, just chilling. Right? I was in one of my high school friend groups. We had this thing where basically if somebody was doing nothing, like if they weren't studying for something, they were just living at home or whatever, they were chilling. It's like, yeah man, I've been chilling, just chilling, bro. Guys who are chilling all the time and not in like a chilling, like I finished all my work today, now I'm chilling kind of logic, not awesome, right? Not super cool. So I'm not necessarily so cut and dry where it's like, dude, you gotta keep yourself away from these people. They're sucking your energy, things like that. Like they're siphoning off your energy. It's not exactly like that. But I guess I'm trying to say, don't let random things interfere with your mind and your thoughts and your, just your overall enjoyment of your own personal life, like in your circle. So whether that means avoiding certain things or places or whoever, or if it just means kind of just not letting it in. A ship only sinks once the water gets inside the hull. It doesn't matter how much is on the outside of it. So it's kind of it's twofold, right? Don't put yourself into a bad position, but if you are in one, try to fend it off as best as you can. I'm not going to go into a crumble cookie right now. It's just not going to happen, because I know I shouldn't do it. And but if for whatever reason I had to go in, maybe I had to pick up, I don't even know, someone lost their phone and I was the only contact on the phone and I had to go, well, I guess I'd say, shit, I gotta go in there. I'm not gonna eat it, but take that with what you will. A little bit of a kind of longer ramble. I can tell if I had a little like blood testing sugar reader, which that's one thing that's kind of interesting. Like if you don't want to get your blood totally tested, it is good to look at like your fasted glucose, but that's kind of unrelated. Then I'm sure I'm probably, I don't know where I'm at, maybe in like the 70s or something, a little bit lower than normal. I can kind of, sometimes I can kind of feel it, especially after a workout and cardio if I haven't eaten for a little while. But I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy this rainy night, and then I'll see you tomorrow for what I hope to be a very wild chest pump. So I'll see you then.